Australia is facing a storm of debate and criticism following the introduction of a new deportation bill that could be impact of the lives up to 80,000 people. This legislation, known for the Immigration Amendment Bill, has sparked a concern of the human rights, family separations, and ethical implications of the deportation of individuals to third countries. Let's unpack what's happening, who is at the risk, and the potential consequences of this controversial policy. Who could be affected? The Migration Amendment Bill was introduced by the state of addressing immigration issues in Australia. Officials from the Department of Home Affairs confirmed at the Senate inquiry that the bill doesn't expand the group of the people eligible for the deportation. However, it significantly broadens the number of the individual it could potentially affect. One of the most alarming revelations that the bill grants the Australian government the authority to pay third country to accept non-citizen marked for deportation. Critics argue this outstanding of the responsibility raises serious critical and practical questions about those who deported it, be treated whether their rights are respected. Michael Thomas, a senior official in the Home Affairs Department, revealed some startling statistics during the Senate inquiry, and among the potentially affected are: number one, 75,400 leaving the Australian community without valid visa. Number two, 4,000 individuals bringing visa A meant to facilitate their from Australia. Number 3, 98 6 people immigration detention. Number 4, individuals in community detention 1923. Number 5, 246 people on bringing visa. After the High Court ruled identified detentions unlawful, 96 individuals on order bridging. The types impacted by this decision. That's a total of over 80,000 people. Each their own story now face an uncertain future. The potential impact. One of the most significant concerns raised by the human rights advocate to the devastating impact this bill could have on families. Judge Flynn, Associate Legal Director at the Human Rights Law Center, painted a grim picture during the inquiry. She highlighted how individuals could be forcibly separated from the families, sent into the permanent exile in a third country against their will. What's more troubling is the clarity of the surrounding the destination of these deportations. She stresses that Australia should be isolated with the countries will be involved, leaving people vulnerable to the ranges of the danger. They could be detained, retained, care and violently attacked, she warned. They might also sent back to the country where there could be persecution or worse. Those were not hypothetical scenarios, as cases of mistreatment, neglect, and violence against deported individuals have been documented in the past. The Refugee Convention dilemma. Adding the controversy, the bill does not require third countries to be signed, and the United Nations Refugee Convention, the international priority designed to protect the rights of the refugees, ensuring they are not returned to places where they face serious harm. Karina Ford, chair of the Law Council's Immigration Committee, voiced concerns that loophole. Sometimes it's easier to make deal with the countries that they do not sign up to the convention. She explained there raises questions and ethical standard of the countries Australia might partner with. With the adherence to the Refugee Convention, there is no guarantee that the deported individual will be treated humanely, provided with the basic protection. Australia track record. Stephen Foster, the Secretary of the Home Affairs Department, attempted allay concerns by the stating that Australia does not return people countries where they are likely to face harm in the line with the non-refoulement obligations. Non-refoulement principles international law that prohibited sending individuals to places where they have faced persecution or torture. However, critics argue that this assurance is insufficient. The lack of transparency about which Australia plans to involve could be the broad scope of the bill leaves room for significant risk. Community safety and human rights. Supporters of the bill, including the Home Affairs Minister's legislation about this community safety. The government has formed bill has measures to remove individuals without valid visas, focusing on those who may pose a risk to public order. But opponents argue this narrative over issues as most of the 80,000 people identify the Department of Home Affairs not in dangerous criminals. In fact, many are asylum seeker families and individuals who have been Australia for 4 years, often contributing to their communities. What is true, the thousands of the individuals with valid visas have returned to their home countries voluntarily. The forced deportation of other race serious ethical concerns. High Court bill ruling. A key factor is legislation is a recent High Court ruling that declared identified detention unlawful. This decision has been led to the release of the many individuals from immigration detention, including those on pre. For some, this ruling become of hope, step toward human rights and migration in Australia. But the government response that from the new bill has depended from the optimism. By shifting the focus in deportation, critics say Australia is doubling down on a punitive approach rather than addressing the system issues in its immigration system. A global perspective. Australia is not the only country grappling with this challenging, and the debate over the migration, deportation, and human rights is playing on outer global stage. In a different country, a controversial plan to send asylum seekers to Rwanda face significant backlash in the legal challenges, and similar policies have been criticized in the United States and Europe. What set Australia apart is the scale of the new bill, its potential to impact tens of thousands of lives. It implemented it could be swear as a precedent to other nations might follow or condemn. What happens next? The bill is still under the consideration with a passionate argument on the both sides and advocate for the human right, calling for the greater transparency and accountability in Australia immigration policies. They argue that the government should focus on creating pathway to residence citizenship for the long-term visa holder and asylum seekers rather than restoring to the deportation. On the other hand, supporters of the bill insist the necessary step to uphold the integrity of the Australian immigration system. They argue that those without valid visas have had ample time to regularize their status or leave the country voluntarily. The Senate inquiry has shed light to the consequences of this legislation, but the ultimate decisions rest with the lawmakers. Will they prioritize the community safety the government claims, or will they warning the human rights advocates? Why it matters? At its core, the debate about the more than just policy, it's about people, and behind the statistics are real lives, families and communities that will be profoundly affected by the decisions made in the Canberra. As the story unfolds, one thing is clear. The stakes couldn't be higher, and for the 80,000 people could in the future remains uncertain and